Hey people, we are here at it and it's variables in JavaScript. So what is variables in JavaScript? Variable is a named storage for data. It means it's just a container which stores data. So we put the data in it and put a label on it to describe that data, and whenever we're looking for it, we come for it. That's just in a simple thing. Anyway, I stole this definition from the internet. I don't tell anybody. So let's take this example. My name is Daniel. Let's say my age is 20. Uh, my email will be daniel@email.com. Let's say he is a student, and that's false. I just graduated, so I'm not a student anymore. But don't tell anyone. So if we have to use this piece of information in our project, whenever we're looking for the name, we have to come, okay, it's Daniel. Whenever we're looking for the email, it's daniel@email.com. The age is 20 and all these things. And this is just not feasible when you are dealing with a huge sum of a project, if you are building something so great. So you have to be looking, especially if the name and all these things are not in your native language, you have to be memorizing a whole chunk of things in a different language, which is just not feasible. So to deal with this, we have this concept of variable, where we can store this data and retrieve it with something we can easily remember. So let's say I want to use my name. I'll use a variable to represent my name. So we'll start with the short notation var name, now equal to Daniel. So my age now will be var age should be equal to 20, and my email, so var email should be equal to, it's not email dot, it's email, it should be equal to daniel@email.com. And Daniel is a student, var we set it to false. And take note of the quotation around the string variable types, which is a topic we'll be discussing in the next video in this playlist. And now when we need this name for anything, we don't have to type Daniel, we have to type the variable name. I want to print out the console. And you see we have the name here, Daniel, so let's console log the age. Let's change this to age. And we have the age over there. We can also do the same for the email. So let's change this to email. You see we have it there. And the last one for a student, and it says it's false. So we've been able to grab all this data with the name without manually typing it inside of the project. So this is a very good thing that variable has come to solve, a very big problem that variable has come to solve. So we can also change this thing if we say, okay, the name is not Daniel again. So we can set name equals to something else. Let's say John. And now you see the name has changed to John. Let's say he's now, age is now 25. And now age has changed to 25. We can also change the email, say should email will be equal to, should be equal to, let's say do something at email.com. We can also change the value for the Boolean data type. So let's say a student is now true. Maybe I've come back to school to do my master's, so now it's true. So back here we are declaring these variables, changing the values and outputting it to the console. But we can do a lot of things with this variable in real life situation. Let's say we want to tell somebody our name. So we can say console.log hello, my name is, then we bring the plus sign, then the name of the variable, name. And he's saying, hello, my name is John. And you should also take note of putting this in a quote. Whenever we are writing something to the console or we are doing something that's not a variable, we put it in a quote just to differentiate it with a variable. the variable is not going to be in a quote. If you put it in a quote, it's going to read like a normal distinct string, just not a variable, it's a string. So let's try that and see. I'll put the name variable in a quote. So when I save this, I say hello, my name is name, because this is no more a variable, it's now a string. So my name is name, and that doesn't make sense. So put it back to what it was. So now when I save, it say hello, my name is John. Here we are printing all this to the console, but we can also print this to the website so that when somebody comes load our website, we tell them, hey, this is our name. So for that, we have to change this, the console log, to say something like documents.write, document.write. My name is name, and let's add something. Um, plus plus years old. So we have hello, my name is name, the variable name, plus 8 years old. All these plus thing is called concatenation, and we'll talk about this in, I guess, next two videos. So if you don't understand it now, don't worry, because there's a lot of time to learn it. So I'll refresh the page, and boom, we have here, my name is John, I'm 25 years old. So our code is now working the way we want it to. So now you can declare variables, you can mutate the value and print it to the console and also to the website. In this project, you see we are declaring all our variables with the keyword var, but there are some other ways to declare variables in JavaScript. We have two more other ways, which is let and const. So let's talk about that now. So let me comment all these. I'll end it over here. But we'll still use our variables, so I'll copy this and paste over here. Say, and I'll change this one, the keyword, to let, and also change this one to const. So as usual, we can console log any of these things. Let's say name, and when we head to the console, we have name here, Daniel, and the email we can check. Now we declare with let, and it's also giving us the email, daniel@email.com. So what is the difference between var, let, and const? I'll talk about the difference between var and let first. Var does the same thing as let, but var is the old way of declaring variables in JavaScript. Maybe the var keyword has a problem that the let keyword has come to solve. So it is more advisable to use let currently than var, because var is a old-fashioned way of declaring variables. For instance, I'll change this back to name. We save this and we head to the console, and watch out. When I type window and hit enter, you see it returns this object. But let's look. It has some properties and value. And when we scroll down, we'll see something like name. And the name property is set to a value Daniel. So the window now has a property of name called Daniel. Wow, what a nice coincidence. This happens because we declare this variable with var. So it has overwritten the window property name. It has the same variable name, so it has overwritten it. But let's change this to var, to let, and see something. If we change this to let, and we'll refresh the page, and we head back to the console and type window. Now we can scroll to name, and guess what? Name is set to an empty string. So var overrides the window property when it has the same variable name as any of these properties here. So I think this is one problem that the let has come to solve. Now we set the variable name to let, and it doesn't override anything again. It's now an empty string. So I think this is one problem. So now let's move to the difference between let and var. So if let does the same thing as var, then there's actually no difference between var and let, but there is a difference between let or var and const. So the difference is, as you can guess, let allows us to like mutate the value, the value of the variable, but with const we can change it again. So let me clear this, refresh and clear the console. So now we have this variable name. Let's set it to age. Now let's change that. Since we declared this the age variable with const, let's try to change it. Let's set age to something else. Let's say 15. And when we say we have an error, the assignment to constant variable. So we can change a constant variable. So it is useful when you have a value, a variable that you don't intend to change accidentally, or as your program grows, you might mistakenly change it and you don't want that to happen. That's when we use const. So the difference between const and let is that one can be mutated. The value of one can be mutated. Let's assume we change this one back to let. And when we say the value comes to 15, we have changed it. But with const, we can change it. So that's the difference between var, let, and const. So I'll encourage you to, as much as possible, avoid the use of var. Use let instead. And if you don't have to change the value of the variable, you use const. As simple as that. So in this video, we've been able to declare variables, mutate the values, print it to the console, and also to the DOM. We've learned the differences between let, var, and const, and when to use each of them. In our next video, we are going to talk about data types in JavaScript. And folks, that's basically what we have for these tutorials. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.